Hello and welcome to Model Minutes. This episode is all about the Star Wars Snowspeeder from Revell. Inside the box you get instructions, decals and 5 sprues, 4 containing the main parts and 1 clear one. The first thing I did was paint all the grey parts with a Humbrol No. 1 primer. The reason for this was because the instructions stated that the overall colour scheme was a grey, and the Humbrol primer seemed to be the most suitable colour for this. I also used the Humbrol No. 1 primer for the clear canopy parts. With the clear canopy, just follow the lines, making sure you take your time to cover all the appropriate parts. The next step was to paint all the interior and engine parts using the relevant colours. Next came time to cut off the main parts from the sprue, using a really sharp knife, some snips, and then filing all of the parts nice and clean. The next step was to repeat the process on the smaller internal assembly parts such as the cockpit and the engines. I'd already painted these previously, including the pilot figures, so a little bit of paint had to be scraped away from the areas I was going to glue, in order to create a good bonding contact area. The parts fit extremely well, if a little too well, and in some parts they needed a little bit of filing down to make sure they fit. Next came time to install the internal components into the upper part of the Snowspeeder. Here you can see me assembling the engine. The engine was pre-painted and then it is glued together and installed into the rear of the Snowspeeder. Once again, a little bit of paint had to be scraped away from the plastic in order to create a good bonding surface for the glue. The next step is to add the top and the bottom parts together. Some clothes peg would have been handy here to hold it together whilst it's set. At this point I'm gluing on the turbolasers. These parts didn't really require glue as they clipped in quite solidly. And at this point I'm gluing the rear cable gun onto the Snowspeeder. Now it's time to apply some decals. Soaking them in some water, I applied model set solution to the areas they were going to be stuck to. This makes them look as if they've been painted on, and they soften into all the recesses and details quite well. Make sure you don't use too much, however, as this can destroy the decal and cause it to wrinkle, which actually happened on one of the rear decals on this model, and I had to touch it up with some paint. Hopefully it's not too noticeable, however. Now I'm dry brushing some metallic No. 11 Humbrol onto the model to give the impression of a metallic finish, paying particular attention to all the areas the crew might have handled in the day-to-day life of the Snowspeeder. The penultimate task was to apply a black wash all over the model to bring out the dark panel lines. I'm using acrylic wash because I've already used an enamel main paint and I didn't want to mix the two. The final part is to install the canopy. Make sure you use a glue which doesn't react with the clear glass and fog it up, so I'm using the clear Artix glue. The model comes with a display stand, and when you've finished it's time to install that. So here it is, the finished Star Wars Snowspeeder from Revell. Quite an easy build, not too much painting required, and the parts do fit extremely well. Retailing for about £5 to £10 in the United Kingdom, this is definitely worth a build if you're into that sort of thing. What did you think of this model? Leave me a comment underneath the video and let me know. Thanks for watching this video. See you all again next time.